Welcome back to another Voiceflow tutorial video. Today we are going to be going over intents, slots, and the intent block. So if you're not familiar with Alexa and Google development, for the most part they're based around these things called intents. And what an intent is, it's a user's intention. So for example, if a user asked Alexa, I'm hungry, or Alexa, I want to go for food, it might all boil down to the user is hungry intention. Now, you might be wondering, for example, if you're a pizza ordering Alexa skill or Google action, okay, so when the user is hungry and my third-party voice app is dealing with this intention, how do I know what they want on their pizza? Well, those things within the intention are called slots, and these are giving you more granular detail on what the user's intention is and how to best fulfill it. And so in the example we're going to do together today, we're going to ask the user what country they're from and what their favorite color is. And then we're going to save those responses in our variables. So let's hop right into that. First off, we can go into our let's create the variables for it first here. Get rid of my score variable, and I'm going to create one for color and one for country. Okay, now we're going to ask the user a question. Let's do this. Drag these in, and we'll say, welcome, what country are you from? And what is your favorite color? Okay, great. So now we want to pull out an interaction block right here. Now within the interaction block, we can set up both slots, intents, and choices. And the best way to think about what an interaction block does is it's like a very advanced choice block. In fact, the way Voiceflow handles intents is very similar between the choice and the interaction block. The only difference is within the choice block, we are creating a lot of this stuff for you behind the scenes to make it really easy and simple. And in the within the interaction block, we give you full control over your intents and your slots. So let's create slots for the two types of data that we want to capture within the user's response. So I'm going to create one for color. You saw my Canadianness pop out there, and as I tried to put the U in. And so Amazon and Google have tons of different slot types, and these are pre-trained data types that we can use within our voice apps. And so a lot of these data types do overlap, like there's airport, country, date, duration, things like that. And then there are slot types where it is only supported by one platform. And so right now you can see the logos of the platform it's supported by on the slot type. And so we're going to use the color slot type. Now you can also add custom slot types, so at the top here, and how you make a custom slot type is by adding different sort of variations of the data that you're looking for. So for example, if you want to do a custom slot type for the type of merchandise at your particular store or the types of pizza, you can add in all the different variations of what the user might say, and that way when the voice assistant is listening to the user's response, it's going to better match it rather than not having any clue. So for example, margarita pizza might be something difficult for Alexa to pick up if there's no context given. But if you create a custom slot type for pizza types and you add margarita in there, it's going to have more context and be able to better match it so that you get the proper response from the user. But we're not going to do a custom slot type. We are going to do country. There we go. So I'm going to rename this country. And so now we have our two slot types made. We have country and we have color. Now if I go into our intents, we can actually create a user's intention. And so these are going to be the different types of responses that users give back. So I'm going to call this country and color. And now I'm going to quickly check what was the variation, what country. Okay, so we asked country first, then color. So, gotta redo this, country and color. So now we want to add different varieties of what the user's response might be. And in technical terms, these are utterances. And so we might say something like, I am from, and then we want to put square bracket, and we can put these slot types. So I am from country, and my color is, and then we'll put the color slot, hit enter, and there's a variation of a different way a user might say the response. So I might say now country is Canada, or country is the slot type, and color is, we'll say country and color. So there's another variation of how the user might respond. And you can add as many of these as you'd like, and of course the more of these you add, the more accurate it will get. And often when you're doing user testing, this is when you'll find out the variations that are most common from your users. And then I definitely recommend that you add in those really common variations within your intents. And so now we can add a choice, very similar to a choice block. And we can select the intent that we want to activate this particular path. And so we can see here, we can actually map our slots. So these are the two slots, or the slots we have, country and color. We can actually map these to a variable. So I want the country slot to go to the country variable, and I want the color slot to go to the color variable. And so now when the user gives us their response, not only can we choose where the user goes if they say that particular response, but we can also capture key data from that response. And so we can actually tell the user, we'll say something like, nice, my favorite color is also color, and my cousin is from country. Cool. So now we are using the two variables that we captured within that interaction. And so what we can do now is actually test this on our device. And so let's upload this. Now, while this is uploading, let's do a quick recap of what we're doing here. We are asking the user, welcome, what country are you from and what is your favorite color? They are then going to give a response, which is going to trigger this intent. I am from country and my favorite color is blah. We have two slot types set up to capture each of those types of data. We have the choice set up, and then we are routing those slot types to be stored within two variables that we made called country and color, which are corresponding to the slot type. They don't have to be the exact same spelling or variation or anything as long as you map them, but for the sake of simplicity, I did so within this example. Okay, so we're just waiting for this to pop up here. Got my device all ready to go. This is taking a little bit longer than I was hoping. There we go. Alexa, open Braden test.
Welcome. What country are you from and what is your favorite color?
Canada and blue.
Nice. My favorite color is also blue and my cousin is from Canada.
There we go. And so we had Alexa capture those two responses within the slot types, transfer them to variables, and then we actually were able to use them later in our project to say them back to the user. Now there is a lot of use cases within Voiceflow where you are creating intents and using those throughout your project. And another common use case is the intent block, also known as the jump block in our community. And what this allows you to do is jump around your project. So for example, if we want to create an intention that was, let's say, restart, we'll call this the restart intention, or let's call this the home intention actually. Home, I'll say home, go home, back to start. So there's this intent. And I select which intent activates this block. There it is right there. You'll actually see now what happens is if at any point throughout your project the user says that intention and that intention is activated, they will jump right to this spot in the project. And that's why the intent block does not have an in port, it only has an out port, because it is constantly listening for the intention that is going to activate it. And so let's actually try this in our project now. So this is just want to make sure I have the right intent here. Yep, so this is the home intent. And that will be activated by saying go home. So at any point throughout our project, even though Alexa will be listening for a specific response, as we will be here in the flow, we are going to activate this home intent, and then it should bring us right back through this speak block as we activated this up here. So we'll just wait a couple seconds for this to upload. move my face back to the corner so I'm not taking up too much of the screen as well. It's taking a long time today. It might be at our internet. There we go. Alexa, open Braden test.
Welcome. What country are you from and what is your favorite
Alexa,
color?
go home.
Welcome. What country are you from and what is your favorite color?
Alexa, go home.
Welcome.
There you go.
What country are you from and what is your favorite color?
Brazil and purple.
Nice. My favorite color is also purple and my cousin is from Brazil.
There you go. And so you can see there, we are actually able to, using this intention that we created, the go home intent, we were able to trigger this intent block, jump back to a specific part of our Alexa skill, and then actually do that a couple times, keep rerouting, and then finally give the proper response to the country and color intent, which allows us to move on with our project. And so a lot of folks use this to jump around projects. So for example, if you were an interactive story and you wanted to jump to a specific part of the story, if you wanted to jump to a specific chapter or even have a hidden command, the intent block allows you to jump around and be able to do that. And the interaction block allows you to add choices with intents and be able to capture a ton of data while also making choices throughout the story to make your Alexa skills and Google Actions more personalized. Okay, so in future videos, we're going to go over a couple more advanced concepts. However, you have gone through, if you've watched every video thus far in this series, you have the vast majority of Alexa development, Alexa and Google Action development. In the next couple of videos, we're going to go over things like shortcuts, API blocks.
Something went wrong.
And as well as a couple other advanced features. All right, I can't wait to see you in the next videos.